right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And if you're watching this anywhere on the internet, aside from twitch.tv/deepmindfulness, well, come on over. This is where the conversation and chat will be happening. We'd love to have you here. We know some people might be watching this on Facebook or watching this on YouTube, but we're having the chat over here on Twitch. The reason we switched over to Twitch, if you don't know already. Tamalan is here. Thank you. The reason we switched over to Twitch is because YouTube kept copywriting us, but you might be seeing this on YouTube because we just did our live stream series with Shinzen, and therefore that's where you're knowing us from. So please come on over, or you can stay there, whatever, maybe next time coming over. And yeah, good times. So how are folks doing? Hello all. Let us know where you're coming from here. Airplane John says, good morning. Great to see you. Well, good to see you too, John. I'm glad you're here joining us. Where are you joining us from? Folks, let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. You know, I realize I should set up the, this would be a smart thing to do. Set up the chat so that I can actually, both chats will arrive in the, even the YouTube chat. So let's take a look here. Where is my live video? A video happening. There we are. There's my live video. Hopefully you don't hear it right now when I click on it. Mute, mute, mute. There it is. It's muted. But let's see this if the chat arrives. Okay. So if anyone decides to chat, we can see it here. So folks, we're going to do something very special today. A little something special on the pod, or the stream, as it were. We're going to meditate. I know, it's a surprise, but it's a good surprise. John from the hospital in Brooklyn, I'm sure. If folks don't know, John is actually in the hospital right now with Corona, and our hearts go out to you very much. And there's a little bit of news. You had mentioned that you are doing a little better. Let me know if how things are going. Give us an update. We'd love to hear how life is. Also, before we begin to meditate, which will be any moment now, I wanted to apologize, folks. It was so hard to keep up with the retreat that I was teaching last week and the live stream, so I was not as stable and steady as I'd like to be. But hey, we're back. We're here. We're having a good time. So thank you, folks, again for joining us. And as always, very happy that you yourself are here. Let us know where you're coming from, and then we'll begin in a moment with our meditation. We're going to be meditating in relationship to emotion in the body. Nick, good afternoon from Karlstad. Great to see you, Nick. You've been missed. We've been teaching this retreat with Shinzen, which, P.S., maybe, Tamalan, if you happen to be there and not busy, the link to the playlist that has all of the Dharma talks would be awesome. We just did a whole series of Dharma talks, 6 Dharma talks, and we have a link to all of the playbacks. If those are of interest, they will be posted anytime, sometime soon. If not, I can find them. Let's see. Well, I won't look for them in case Tomalin is, not to double duty here. And it's funny that you can't. Oh, I see. Oh, thank you so much. Let's see here. That looks like we had a new follow from Chris Perrier. Chris, thank you so much for the follow. It's so nice to have you folks know. If you have not yet followed us, feel free. That is a low-cost way to find out what we're doing. Here is the link, Tomlin. I found it. If you want, that's the playlist. Oh my goodness, another follower here. This is Little Liner. Little Liner, great to have you. Little Liner. If you don't know, good morning, joining from Ontario, Canada. Great to have you. I'm guessing because you're from Ontario, you know a little bit about the kind of meditation we do here. And we're going to be meditating for about 25 minutes. And if that sounds terrifying, don't worry. Trust me, I haven't lost one yet. You'll likely survive to the other side, and I'm certain that you'll learn something about the way life is experienced. Oh, great, thanks. Nick is going to be listening to my talk next. Great, I'm glad you will. I'm excited to see you here. Very cool. Okay, folks, so finding a nice, comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. I want to set something up here because I have something special arranged. Okay, well I can do a test with something else. I'm going to play another video of ours. I just want to make sure that you can hear this. Very important. This is the part that reminded me of... Okay, did folks hear that little bit of a video there for a second? Just let me know. Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, that's all I needed to know. And then we are going to, we can get ready for our practice. So finding that nice comfortable position you can maintain. Taking some final sips of your foamy green tea, which is required for this, this meditation group. If you're finding a nice comfortable posture, I generally suggest that you allow the knees to be lower than the hips, the spine to balance on the tailbone, and we'll start from there. Pardon me for coughing right into the microphone. And we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths. Just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we begin a meditation, we begin with the momentum of all of the previous moments. And the way that we break free of that momentum is by simply honing into the sensations of this particular moment. So as we move through the body, relaxing piece by piece, being sure that we don't fall into a trap or an idea that we've done this many times, so there's no reason to stay conscious. So starting at the top of the head, relax the brow. Relax the muscles behind the eyes. Allow the face to go smooth. Relax the back of the tongue and let the jaw go slack. Relax the neck and the shoulders, the upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and relaxing the hands. And each time we relax a part of the body, we're allowing it to succumb to gravity just slightly, perhaps noticing a 1/10 of a millimeter drop towards this pulling force of gravity. letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. And noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. The knees and calves. The ankles, and relaxing the feet. And as though we could filter the body's experiences, we're just filtering for neutral and relaxing sensations in the body. And not any particular sensation, but the collective whole, all of the restful sensations in the body. Allowing these to be held with a soft awareness, just all the sensations gathered together, more or less, not worrying if some are falling out of this filter. Noticing that these sensations have a kind of light, effervescent quality. And without letting go of this larger field of sense data, without needing to zoom in or collapse down, just within this field of neutral and restful sensations, just including and knowing some detail of the sensation of the breath. Maybe it's 80% overall restful awareness and just 20% attention on the breath wherever we'd like. Tip of the nose or abdomen or anywhere else it's predominant. Not collapsing down, but finding a balance between these two. Restful awareness and attention on the experience of the breath. Of course, at times the mind will lose this balance and simply drift away. And that's fine. Distraction's not so much an issue because we always come back. This is a very simple game. Simply finding this subtle balance between awareness of the body sensations, or if awareness wants to be larger, contain more, that's fine. Making that adjustment for ourselves. And within that somewhere, simply a bit of knowing of the experience of the breath, without needing it to be a huge percentage of our experience. Just the barest knowing of a bit of sense data related to breath, balancing these two. Now we're going to make a slight transition. Simply becoming aware of the sensations of the body, in particular sensations around the torso. And if we're noticing any emotional activation, paying particular attention to that. Emotion in response to our current environment, including the mind, tends to appear as a kind of light, vibratory sensation on the surface of the skin. It can often come and go quite quickly, like a flash of joy or a flash of anger. Can feel a bit like a temperature change, subtle, often experienced on the skin. So if you notice any feel sensation in the body, it can be helpful. You may choose to label that feel with the mind, simply using this single syllable label, feel. Each time you detect this, soaking into that experience, letting go and starting again a moment later. Letting each moment be new. Or perhaps there's a feeling that there's no emotion, and yet there's some judgment, frustration, annoyance, feeling bummed that we can't detect emotion, but know that all of these are emotions. So looking for where this is being expressed in the body. So we're going to introduce some audio. And in particular, I'd like us to pay attention as though we were listening rather with our bodies instead of our ears. As far as our ears are concerned, any sound is just different pressures. But I'd like you to notice that this audio, in particular, has a particular range of emotional content. Notice if there's any response as I describe what the audio is. This will be a piece of music. Again, noticing if there's any excitement or interest, looking for where that is experienced in the body. This will be a piece of music by a composer named Chopin. If you know that composer, checking in to see where in the body this is known, aside from any mental image or mental audio, if there's any emotional resonance. And I'd like you to notice in particular that often each note is either more happy or more sad than the previous note, building a kind of emotional tapestry. And seeing if we can observe this tapestry unfold in the body. Sometimes a note will occur and the next note will be delayed, kind of pause, which can create a kind of emotional tension. Notice if that body is waiting for whatever emotional experience to be resolved. This is all structured around our innate ability to detect harmony and disharmony in relationship to the norms of human hearing, at least in our culture. So we'll begin being sure to listen with the body. And checking to see if there's any sense of the experience that just occurred. Any trace of the emotional movement, whether it was positive or unpleasant. Can we detect any trace of that in the body? Or perhaps the body's entirely neutral, and that's fine too. This is just a kind of emotional piece. So allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes. And eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. And observing this moment now, with our eyes open, sitting, as we do much of our day. And letting this particular moment, letting this be the great teacher that shows us how to bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay. So what was that like? So Paul is joining us from on YouTube. Paul, just so you know, that tune was by Chopin. And we're just doing a little meditation on emotion in the body. Just so you know, Paul, if I miss a note, we're over on twitch.tv/deepmindfulness. That's where we do the majority of our chatting. We do have a Discord community. Tomlin has mentioned that in the chat here on, where are we, Twitch. So if you want to stay in touch or talk with other meditators offline when we're not live, you can jump over there. It's sort of like Facebook, but less garbled up with lots of stuff. It's mainly like a chat room where you can chat vocally or just with text, that kind of thing. And you can ask questions for the stream when we're not online, and we can answer those when we are online. Landon says, wow, so beautiful. It was as if I deeply heard this familiar piece fully for the first time. Well, that's lovely. You know, and I also want to put out there that some people might hate this piece of music or similar music. So know that you didn't have to have a positive experience necessarily. The big key for me, at least, is that you can detect it from the perspective of the body. So what was that like? What happened? What are you like now? I wanted to try our new experiment, which we've been doing here. Oh, I realized something. I was going to try to put us into Zoom, but I realized one of the reasons the camera keeps freezing is because of Zoom. So let me see if I can start this. The camera might freeze, but that's no big deal. Let's see. Can I start? Okay, if the camera freezes, then we know what happened. Okay. Oh, this is funny. The picture they're showing here. Okay. But I'm going to copy the link. So if folks want to join on Zoom, you can, and we can then hear you auditorially. I'm putting this link in. Okay, let's say. Landon, I'm going to encourage you to invite you over to Zoom, and there's the link there. You can feel free to jump over my camera. It's so funny, the image that's on my camera. I'm actually going to turn my camera off because then you can you don't have to stare at some wires that are being. Actually, maybe I can even turn this camera. Oh, it's down here. Maybe my camera can work. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, there we are. Rory, thank you so much for joining us here on Zoom. You are muted, but if you'd like to, oh, Landon's here too. The whole gang is here. Okay, so folks, let me see if I can actually make you visible. First, let's do a quick sound check. If somebody wants to unmute for just a second, we can see if we can hear you. Hello. Maybe I have to unmute you? Okay.
Test.
One more time?
Test.
Hear you perfectly. Okay, great. So we have audio. We'll hold off on video for now, so it'll just be like an audio, like a radio show. Maurice, welcome. Nice to see you here. So, let me actually ask folks. I'd be curious, folks who are on Zoom now, would it be of interest to be visible on the stream? Sometimes people want to be visible. Some people don't want to be visible. Any preference here before we decide? Or would you just prefer audio? No one's answering.
I'm happy either way. I can go on video.
Happy either way. Well, let's try audio for now, and then we'll have people vote and say whether they would prefer just audio, because sometimes it makes people feel a little more comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to make sure we're not okay. Okay, great. So, Landon, you had mentioned you had some more to report here. What came up for you in that practice?
Yeah, just as I just wanted to report specifically on the music, just how it touched me, because it's interesting. When I woke up this morning, first I'll say I popped into the meditation. I got here late, so I just sort of entered midstream, but then in a few minutes the music came on, and I had woken up this morning feeling, we're in week 3 or whatever. I don't even have lost track of time of sort of quarantining, and there was an adrenaline that had been pumping. I woke up this morning and just felt that the initial, hey, we're all in this together, teamwork, just was kind of had turned into this sort of daunting feeling, or sort of overwhelmed with the task of what we're all engaged in collectively. It just felt really heavy. And yet I wasn't aware. I thought I was just kind of being mindful of it, just aware that it was there. And as I listened to the music, it's like the music could penetrate down into sort of the little cracks and crevices down in the emotion that where I wasn't really letting awareness in, because I guess it's just too, frankly, painful. And the music sort of carried awareness with it into the little crack, like water seeping into cement or something. And I just felt, so there was a lot of sadness there, but also relief that the sadness was being touched.
Yeah.
And the music could get there more than just trying to practice with awareness. It was like the music carried the awareness with it. But it was such an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So it was a relief.
That's great. Yeah, the music is very, very powerful in that way. The music in general has this, there's a lot of conversation going back to the Greeks, I'm sure maybe before that, but that music is basically a sort of analog of spirituality. Yeah.
Well, I really felt that, it wasn't anything I was trying to have happen. It just sort of happened. And I could feel something just kind of letting go, just a letting go, just kind of happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in particular, I mean, I have a personal soft spot for that music myself, because that was something that my family played when I was very young. My mother would play. And so just Chopin in general. So just the sort of...
I have a lot of memory associated with it too.
Yeah.
Just really memory that I know some of it and I don't know other of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so with us, part of, for me, just growing up, just knowing it over time.
Yeah. And I want to open up to also Rory. No, I want to open up to Rory in this conversation, so it doesn't have to just be one person at a time. I'm trying to unmute. Okay, there we go. So Rory, I don't know what your experience was.
Well, it was interesting because I think you were suggesting different, at some point I heard you say something like, maybe it was, had a certain emotion, or maybe it was positive, but I felt like it was very sad for me. but that was also really positive. It was like I was
Right.
happy to be present with those emotions as they were coming up. That felt that the sadness had a flavor of just that's what's there. So isn't it great that like what's there and you're present with it? So
Yeah.
Totally. That's exactly, you just articulated it so beautifully. Yes, it's sad, but it's almost like a relief to just be able to feel it and know it's there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and that's a lot of emotion, especially difficult emotion, just wants to be experienced. It just wants to be processed in that way. And I find it amazing. The reason I mentioned it sort of that there's a relationship of sort of sadness and happiness, there is definitely this, it's a nocturne. There's definitely this sort of sadness arc that goes through it. And what I find is that the Chopin I've tried this with other classical music. Because I'm usually trying to find something very simple. The narrative, audio narrative of it, it's relatively sparse, so you can really tell each poignant kind of moment. A lot of classical music is so layered in its emotional kind of tenor that it's much harder to navigate. And Chopin has this thing where it's like individual, it's all these it's very rhythmic, and it's individual punctuations. Typically it's like one note, and then the next note is almost universally either happier or more sad, and it's like more uplifting, more hopeful, or more like falling into sort of a spacious sadness. And it's amazing how like I'll play a couple, like 2 notes of this. Like in the first chord, it's immediate, like the emotional tenor. Yeah, and I really also like that the tension is always like, is it going up or is it going to go down? It's like, how is this going to be resolved in one way or the other? And this is actually, I thought of this again because I used this as a prompt for one of the students at the retreat who's having a hard time finding emotion in the body, and they were also a classical musician. So I was like, well, let's put on some classical music and see if you can tell that this is not a totally monotone experience. Awesome. Anything else you guys want to report? Oh, before we actually do that, I want to mention that Nick says here in the chat, felt all present moment emotion magnified, not pleasant, but got goosebumps. Thanks for today. I got to go. Check on my girlfriend. She has previous lung issues and now contracted the virus. Oh no, Nick, I'm so sorry to hear that. Hopefully I won't be that bad. Bye. See you, buddy. Also, before Nick left, he gifted a subscription to John, which, if folks don't know how this works, is the way that you support folks. You don't have to do this. I'm just explaining. You can do subscriptions, and it's a monthly, I think it's $5 a month, and you can also gift those to other people. And the real benefit of that, in hard benefit for you, is that there's no commercials, which, that's sometimes nice if you can start without a commercial at the beginning. So, what else? Anything else from you guys? Either of you folks? Anything else coming up that feels relevante or unrelated and would be helpful for your practice?
When we subscribe, does that also support you?
Yes, I think that's the premise, is that it does support me as a creator, and I think I get like 50% of it. I forget what the exact number is. It's just, we don't rely on it, so I'm always like a little vague on how it works. Right. So if people want to, and I think Nick has been subscribing since we started, which is just very kind. 50%, Tomalin says. So, and if folks are here from the retreat, Tomalin is here with us, so welcome back, Tomalin. Yeah. Cool. Anything else from you folks? I don't want you to feel like you're like you have to say anything, but if there's anything else you want to report, or I know, Rory, you came from the retreat, so anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
awesome,
you so
folks.
much. It was lovely.
Thank you so much. Okay, then you guys, you don't have to stay on if you prefer not. Anything else? Any other reports or questions from folks? Anything else coming up before we dance away into the evening? If you're watching this now or watching this on replay, we are here live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, that's wrong. That's the old schedule. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And we're right now in the middle of an emotion series. So we're exploring emotion. If you want the playbacks, They're on our second YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/deepmindfulness2, number 2. Little Liner, thank you so much for that. I'm glad you found it fun. And yeah, anything else? Anything else coming up? Any Q, any A, any of those things? If not, I'll bring out the puppy for a moment, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, hang tight, people. I'm going to grab that little pup. One sec. Whoop. Oops. Ouch. Oh, you okay, baby? What happened? Okay, baby. This is the pup. This is the cutie. Just thought we'd have a little more emotional trigger practice with this little lady. Hello. We gave her her weekly bath, so she smells like a delicious puppy. So, what's going on down there? She's like looking at something over here. She doesn't know that she's on the TV. Oh, hi. So, folks, thank you so much for joining. In less than 24 hours. No, less than 48 hours. We'll be back here. Okay, we'll put you in super puppy mode. Super puppy. So, less than 48 hours, we'll be back here to practice a little bit more on the field of emotion. And please let me know if you have any questions or anything's coming up. Would love to hear from you. If you want to leave any questions in our Discord, you can leave that in the section called Questions for Stream. And we look forward to seeing everyone soon. Okay, folks. Bye. See you soon. I'll put on the end music, but I can still hear you. I can still say hello. Where's this outro music? Here we go. Okay, folks. Great work. Look forward to seeing you soon. Oh, we have another follow here from Morton113. Thank you for that. Thanks for the follow. Morton113. As a suggestion for a kind of music, I like Beethoven's Moonlight. Okay, well, interesting. I was thinking of doing something less classical, just because, for a hipper thing, but that's great. I want to check that out. This is, Saivash. Welcome. You gave me a detailed explanation of the pronunciation of your name, and it's slipping my mind, so please forgive me if I mispronounce. But always feel free to correct. A lovely day, everybody. And life is its own poetry. There are difficult times, and there are interesting and fascinating times. So if we can, my goal today is just to soak into that poetry, soak into the joy of exploration. To not fight off the inevitable challenging times, and to really see if I can enjoy the things that are going well, things that are even incrementally or relatively better. Nice, enjoyable. This warm little puppy in my lap, even if she wants to squirm out of here and find something to pee on. Just like the mind. Great work, everybody. Look forward to talking to everyone soon. Have a lovely day. Okay, folks.